Camera control. So, one of the issues you've had in the previous videos is I can move around, I can collect things, I've got sounds playing. I have got rid of the Zelda theme because I thought again, I might get into trouble for that, and it was getting on my nerves anyway. But as I walk around, I can walk off the screen. But really, what we want is the camera to follow us around the canvas, I suppose, then, or around the scene area. But when I get to this area here and that area there, and if I double click on ground so I can make, and if I get to this top area, the camera stops following us. So we can't actually see the outer bit there. So to make the camera follow the player, all we're going to do is go onto the main camera, add a component, and we're going to call it camera controller, like so. And if we just press enter, it loads up on here. We let it do what it's got to do. And on camera controller, we got all this script here, which normally appears, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so it's a bit easier for people to read. We're going to get rid of that bit up the top there. I don't think I actually need a start bit, so I'm going to get rid of start this time, and I'm going to get rid of that line as well. So, like I said before, just so it's a bit tidier. Now, all I'm going to do then at this stage is bring across a couple of bits of code. Now, please don't get intimidated by this. It is kind of straightforward when you know how to do it. So I'm going to grab that line there. That's one of our variables because we want to basically say to the camera, I want you to follow the player, and we're going to tell it what the player is as well. And I'm going to, in this part here, put a few commented lines because when I save that, and actually, I got to do one more thing first. Let me come back to my code. I'm actually just going to grab this line here. So you'll have to type this in. But basically, what this does is it will get the camera to follow. And I might zoom out so you can see that a bit better, actually. It will get the camera to follow the player. Because we're going to say what the player is. So we'll follow it on its X position, player dot position dot X, and also on its Y position. The Z position is there because it's a vector free. We have to refer to it, but we're not actually going to be following on a Z position on a 2D game. But anyway, let me just save that and let's go back onto Unity. Let it do its thing and hopefully there's no problems. Great. And if I click on main camera, it's going to say to me, well, what is the player? What do you want me to follow? So if I grab Clink and I grab Clink down and drop him in there, and I press play, and what should happen when I start to play is the camera starts to follow me. Now you might be thinking, actually, it's the eggs which are moving, but it's not at all. The player is always in the middle, but it's the player who's walking around on the ground. But the issue is I can actually walk straight off this top, middle, oh sorry, top, bottom, and right hand side and left hand side. So we want to limit this so I can't actually go down any lower than that point. So what we're going to do first of all is come across the left hand side and I've got the camera selected and I'm looking at the X position and the Y position in particular. And if you look at the X position, as I'm pressing left and right on the camera, see on this bit here, the X position changes. So I just want to kind of get the left hand side there, so it's just on the screen. I'll do actually minus 11.45. And I'm going to copy that and pop it in our code. So this is going to be the top one. So this is X left. So I was looking at the X for that. The next line down is going to be X right. And we're going to do Y top. And we're going to do Y bottom. And it'll make sense in a moment why I'm getting these numbers. Okay, so X right, let's come back onto the game. I'm looking on the main camera, I'm looking at the X here, and when I go across to the right, and I am moving right, look, so you can see it's moving there. When I get to it, it's not quite there, so it's roughly about, that'll do actually, that number. I'm going to copy that and pop it there. And I'm going to do the same for the top, but this time I'm looking at the Y position. So as I get towards the top and I get to the point of finish the ground. So there's the top roughly. There we go. I'll take that one. So that's the Y position for that one. So Y top and then finally Y bottom. And it's a little bit of a pain doing this, but it just makes the next bit a lot easier. And let's say there. Okay, I'll take that one there. So it's the minus. Oh my God, I always right click on stuff. Why do I keep right clicking on stuff? Anyway, so I'm going to stop that playing because I don't need it to play for this part anymore and just pop the number in there. Now then, the bit which was on the Word document which I said, please don't get too worried about it. This is basically what you are going to put in to make sure that the camera stops following us when we get to a certain part. And I also just need to put a bracket at the end of that bit there. Now, these numbers, so x is greater than or equal to, that needs to be, in fact, it's exactly the same number as I did in my video, because I was literally going to copy that and paste it into there and put an F on the end. So that's what he done for me. It's a bit lucky. Oh, this one isn't though. So again, this is position.x. So this is this number here, and I'm going to replace that. So you'll have to type all these in and make sure you put the F on as well. I'm going to get rid of that as well, so I just don't get it confused. Now that's the bottom Y number. So player position.y is greater than that number there. And what this is basically going to do is just going to make sure that as we're doing this, as we get to the corners, as we get to the top, as we get to the bottom, the left-hand side, the right-hand side, these numbers, I'm going to have to put that in there with an F on the end as well. This is just going to make sure that the camera stops following us so we can't see the outer part. So let's just get rid of that bit so it's a bit tidier. Press save, come back onto this. And what should happen is now, if I go to the left, if I press play first of all, if I go to the left-hand side, I will get to the point of I can't actually, the camera stops following me, but then it picks me up, look, when I get back to that point. The same will happen on the right-hand side. So when I get across to the right, yep, same thing again, up to the top, and then I'm going to the top, and same should happen on the bottom. Like so, and I just want to check something actually. I want to go across those corners. The corners seem to be working fine as well. Oh, that was a bit glitchy, wasn't it? So that's something I might have to look at and come back to you on. Now, the other thing at the moment, as you notice, when I go right, I literally go off the screen. But really, I want a collider or something on the outside to stop me from going off. So I'm going to add a 2D object, and I'm going to add a square. This square I'm going to drag across to the very edge, and I might have to double click on it just to make sure that I am in the right position. And in fact, let's drag it so it is touching it like so. And if I zoom back out, I click on this guy, and in fact, if I go on ground, because that's what I want, this guy, I'm gonna scale it up so then it goes the entire length of that bit there. And then I'm just going to change it so it is see-through. So if I click on the sprite renderer, couldn't see what I was going to click on then, and then just make it completely see-through. And the last thing I'm going to do on this square on the left-hand side is add a box glider. Nope, I spelled box wrong. How can you spell box wrong? So box collider 2D, and I don't mess around with any stuff there. Now, what should happen is when I go to the left-hand side of the screen and the camera stops following me, I will stop at that point there. So what you'll need to do is put a collider on the right-hand side, at the top and the bottom, like I've done with these squares. Probably a good idea to name them as well, to stop your character basically walking off the scene. Hi, Future Rob here. I say Future Rob, literally half an hour after doing the camera control video. What I've done now on this, I've actually added borders on the side and to stop myself kind of running off it. Now, the issue was, as we were kind of getting up into the corners or the bottom corners, the camera kind of glitched a little bit. So all I've done is basically edited the code slightly. So instead of having everything in one line, so all these player positions and all this type of stuff, the X's and the Y's. I've kind of done them backwards a little bit. I've got the Y positions here, and then the transform for the X and player is Y. And then for the X part, which is a separate if statement, so make sure you've got the brackets and everything set up, it is basically the opposite way around. So the player dot position X, transform dot position Y. And hopefully for you, like it does for me, and it's a bit difficult to see because I've just got one colored background. When I hover, when I go over to the left and I go up, into the corner. I do go up into the corner, but when I come back down, look, it kind of starts to follow me a little bit better than it did. The only way we're really going to see how well this works is if we do the next video, which is about adding in buildings and being able to get into like buildings and different scenes and so on. So, see you soon.